Hi guys, welcome back to the show. Today we're going to be talking sales, sobriety and personal training with my good friend Frazer Orr. Hi mate.
How we doing, bud?
I'm
Happy
good.
Birthday.
Happy. Thanks very much.
Feel honoured to be
Mate.
here on your big day, mate.
Mate, committed to the show, can I say? How are you?
I'm
Doing
good, mate. I'm good.
How's life?
Plodding on. Aye, good. Treating me okay at the moment. Treating me okay.
Apart for the obvious.
Peaks and troughs, mate, but listen, we'll get there.
We'll get there indeed. So obviously going to get into it. So currently working in sales.
Yep.
Obviously, so talk to me about that. How long have you done sales for? What's the...
So, been in sales now for best part of 7 years. Mostly here at David Lloyd. Had a couple of spells away, which we'll obviously, I'd imagine, look at later on. But yeah, done it for 7 years, and to be honest, just enjoy it, mate. The environment of it, the fast-paced working environment, everything else that comes with it. It's a good profession to be in.
Aye, and what initially drew you to that? So obviously I imagine when you were younger going through school, were you the kind of wee guy up here wanted to play football for his country, or what were you like younger?
I think I got into sales more on accident, to be honest with you. Left uni after third year and knew I didn't want to work with kids, put it that way, after doing a placement. So the opportunity to come to David Lloyd came up and I almost fell into it, but quickly caught the bug for it. So quickly caught that bug of fast-paced working environment, relentlessness, just really loved it, to be honest with you. In terms of school, I was always, the report card always read, smart boy, but easily distracted and likes winding people up. So
that's not changed.
People off, mate, and that's not changed, mate. 20 years on, so yeah.
Aye, and then obviously going through school, was there any other careers that kind of stood out to you? Obviously I know you said you fell into sales, but was there other careers that you maybe were thinking about more seriously?
Yeah, weird. Obviously I grew up with a sort of football background and stuff like that, and I actually thought about football journalism, which was weird now that I think about it. Couldn't see myself doing that now. But that was one of them, and then obviously the fitness side of it, sort of got into secondary school and picking up the gym when I was maybe 14, 15. So that was always in the back of my mind, the fitness route as well. So yeah, apart from that, mate, it was pretty much sports journalism and then fitness after that.
Aye, and were you the kind of wee guy that was grunting in the gym doing his weights, or did you have a steady
grunting, mate. No, I can't be doing that, mate. No grunting. Maybe the odd wee noise, mate, but no heavy petting. No.
So what kind of year did you start the sales then? When did that actually start?
It would have been late 2017. So you're looking at coming on 8 years now. Jeez, that's mental.
It's weird when you look back.
Aye, so late 2017, I left uni that summer and basically got in my third year of university. Done a placement for, I think it was 8 weeks with a primary school, sort of active schools coordinator. I was studying sports development.
Yep.
After that placement, I quickly realised that this isn't for me. The young kids, just quickly realised it wasn't something I wanted to go down. So actually after that, I thought, well, if that's the case, I'm not going to do my fourth year. So I got my degree after third year, stuck it out, and then after that, just looked for full-time employment.
Yep.
Knew a couple of folk actually that worked in the sales team at David Lloyd and seen a vacancy and kind of applied from there. As I say, it was an accident at first, it was meant to be a stopgap till I figured out what was what, but quickly got the bug for it, to be honest with you. Just been in the sales office and just driving performance and stuff like that. It's something that I grew to quite quickly. Yeah,
and what is that you enjoy most about then the sales world, or is there something in particular that you enjoy the most?
Oh no, definitely that. I think every day's a new day, isn't it? So when you're in the sales environment, you might have a bad day, you might have a good day, but not getting bogged down by it. Obviously working closely with people in an office, I enjoy that as well. But actually the fast-paced environment of it, and as I say, just sales is the only job, in my opinion, or one of the only jobs in the world where the harder you work, the better the outcome of it.
Yep.
Don't necessarily need to have an amazing background of qualifications to get in any sales job, but if you establish yourself and you work hard, it can be very rewarding as well.
Yeah, so obviously sales can be very high pressure, extremely mentally draining. Imagine as you've developed in your sales career, that stress and the ability to handle that stress has differed. Mm-hmm. How would you say, what was the main differences handling that stress now to previously?
I think it's just something that comes in time, to be honest with you. You need to experience the good days and the bad days, or the good months and the bad months. I think being able to just identify when you've had a bad day and brush it off and go into the next day. You're always going to get pressured in any sales job. In fact, you'll get pressured in any profession, but obviously when your salary almost can depend on a target, it brings its own stresses. But I think over time and experience, that you just grow to that, and it's something you just adapt to.
Yeah, I feel like, obviously not being in the sales world myself, I feel like I hear a lot of people kind of, they'll start in sales with really good intentions, really keen to kind of, get sales on the board, get into sales. Sales is for me, and then the stress hits them, or they have a bad day that you speak about, and they just figure out it's really not for them, and they crumble really fast.
Yeah.
What's your advice to people that maybe struggle a lot with it at the start and don't stick it out? Would you say stick with it, or if you feel like if it's not for you, it's not for you?
It kind of depends on the individual, to be honest with you. Like, I've been in sales for a long time and seen such a high turnaround of people, but I've also seen people be in sales for years and it's their profession all the way through their life. It just comes down to your character. It really does. Like, if you can, as I say, identify your bad days and not go home and cry about it to your missus or cry about it to your family, and just brush it off and treat tomorrow like a new day, you'll be absolutely fine. But my advice would be is obviously stick it out. Anybody that's thinking of doing it, as I said, if you work hard at it, it can be very rewarding in terms of, personal growth, but also like financially as well. Let's not kid ourselves. So it's a good industry to get into, but it does come with a little bit of patience, and it does come with having to deal with those setbacks that you're going to get along the way as well.
Who would you say has been your biggest influences in that sales world? You always have somebody that puts an arm around the shoulder, or it's very much shouts at you or whatever. What's been the biggest?
Is this me giving a shout out? Obviously, Craig.
Yes.
Craig, obviously, me and Craig started at David Lloyd at similar times, and he's always been a front runner with David Lloyd when it comes to sales, and looked up to him pretty much from the get-go. I've obviously had a few managers and stuff like that over the piece that have put an arm around me and stuff like that, that have helped along the way as well. But I think if there was one in particular, it would probably be Craig, to be honest, because we grew up as mates. We're very similar people, pretty much same pattern as well, which drives people up the wall. Everyone will vouch for that knows the two of us. So, definitely Craig in that respect, I would say. And
not to get too deep, but would you say if Craig wasn't there as a influence or someone to put the arm around you, or can you kick up the backside, would you stuck at sales, do you think, or?
There's been times in the early stages, first year or whatever, I was like, I don't know if it's for me, don't know if it's not. But I think all it takes is a really good month in sales, or a really good chat with somebody, Craig or someone else, and quite quickly having the confidence growing in you, builds from that one good month.
Yep.
So, it's always important to have people around you that you can lean on without divulging too much into the aspects of why you're struggling too deeply, but being able to get somebody there to just give you a bit of advice always does help. Yeah,
and that confidence you speak about, moving into how you actually connect with potential customers, potential members, both at David Lloyd and if other jobs you've been at. Have you noticed any differences in how you connect with those people now to when you first started?
Oh yeah, I think in terms of in here we meet people of all different backgrounds on a daily basis that come in and want to join the club.
Yep.
And naturally your people skills develop over time.
Yep.
So it's like anything else, you walk into a new job, you don't know anybody. Naturally over time you're going to form connections and meet new people, and your confidence will grow in that office or in that workspace. And the same goes for when you're dealing with the general public and stuff like that as well. You just naturally start to know all the different types of people you're going to meet. And I would say just over time, sales is one of those industries where your confidence just builds over time, meeting new people, exploring new connections. And I would say definitely in comparison to the wee guy I was at 21 or 22, whatever that started, definitely.
You're more hench now as well.
Oh, that's it, mate.
You've stuck the size on.
Yeah, that's late puberty, mate. It's nothing else. So no, I think in terms of confidence and confidence and connections go hand in hand. If you're more confident, the more likely you are to connect with new people, and that just builds over time when you're in a role similar to this one. Yeah,
and overall, throughout your kind of sales career, can you share a memorable moment in sales, maybe something that was a big one for you personally, a funny story, or even maybe a tough lesson?
Funny story, I don't know if I can keep them PG, so...
you can tell us what you like.
No, I think in terms of achievements and stuff, obviously there's MVP awards, so most valuable person across the region and stuff. I've obviously had that handed to me a couple of times. I've hit the 100 club in terms of new member sales a couple of times and stuff like that as well. So yeah, wee things like that are always good, and the other things again that are only going to help you grow in confidence when you're doing sales. You know, getting recognised and people recognising your hard work and the hours you put in and the graft you put in. Yeah, things like that always help, and obviously it's good because when you get things like that, there's normally little incentives and stuff which can push you a little bit further forward as well.
Yeah, it makes you want to then go again, doesn't it?
Exactly.
That ability to pick yourself up. And it's like, yeah, I've won that award, yeah, I'm going to want to win that again.
Exactly.
No, really, really cool. In terms of the biggest lesson you've kind of learned from sales that maybe applies beyond the actual world of sales, maybe in life, what would you say that was?
Oh, patience. Yeah, patience. Like, if I've already touched on it already, but sales is very black and white in terms of like you can have a good day, you can have a bad day. Like it happens. So at the start when I first started out, the bad days would get to me. Now it's like water off a duck's back. It's like genuinely just next day, move on. So in terms of patience and patience with people as well. Like just like the overall, patience is the big one. And again, as I say, you meet all different types of people. Some you need to be more patient with others, and etc. So, yeah, that's the biggest thing. And in terms of like people skills as well. Meeting all these different people and members of the public, all different backgrounds. So again, it builds your meeting so many people on a different daily basis. Builds your confidence.
Yeah,
as well.
and obviously, sales applies around the world in different things. You know, cars, yachts, houses. Do you ever, if you had to imagine yourself being somewhere and selling stuff, but do you have any dream sales jobs?
Obviously there's like the real estate stuff and Dubai and stuff like that. It's always something that's been on my mind.
It became quite a massive market, I've noticed, over the past few years.
It's huge, and a lot of people are obviously going out there and stuff and doing their thing. And I think that the real estate world out there could be crazy. But again, level, I've seen people go out and it fall. I know people that have went out and they've fallen flat on their backside after a couple of months because it's hard, but if you put the work in like anything else, you'll reap the rewards of it. You said selling yachts, Monaco, bit of shout.
Actually, I don't know if Monaco, that's quite
that's a pipe dream.
The Grand Prix as well, is there? So
we're currently sitting in Glasgow and I'm looking at the window and it's grey outside, do you know what I mean? That's the reality we're in just now, but no, I think like obviously I've always flirted with the idea of potentially working abroad over the last couple of years and stuff like that, so you never know in the future where it might go.
You mentioned patience, people skills, your own personal journey outside of sales. What else would you say you've learned on a personal level? What kind of skills have you learned? Have you met anybody in sales that you've then, as you said, Craig, is there anybody you've met in sales that have actually become a friend outside the work? What talk to me outside?
Oh yeah, like in terms of, I've met, with being in this industry, I've met so many different people. Obviously I left David Lloyd for a little bit and done sales stuff elsewhere for 6 months. Didn't work out the job, but the people I met in that office, I'm still friends with today. So you meet, as I say, different kinds of people. And in the sales industry as well, a lot of the people that are there are driven individuals and people that want to succeed in life and do the best they can. So when you're with these people on a daily basis in the office, it can be infectious and it rubs off on you. But yeah, I mean, there's very few people that I've worked with in this industry that I actually could turn around and say, I don't necessarily like that person. Everybody that I've worked with, I've probably kept in contact in some respect over the last 7, 8 years or whatever it's been since I started. Yeah,
and going through your life so far, what would you say stuff you've maybe struggled with outside of work? Is there anything that kind of comes to mind?
Outside of work, trying to think. Obviously recently, I'm sure we're going to touch on it, but I'm trying the sobriety sort of life. Obviously that's fairly new to me. And we'll obviously touch on it a bit more, but there's been a few slip-ups along the way with that and things like that. And it's something I've obviously only recognised probably towards my late 20s that could be a bit of a problem. Things like, there's that saying where it's like, you don't have to be like an alcoholic to have a problem with alcohol. That's a saying, and I think recently I've realised that this like lifestyle that I had in maybe like my early mid-20s of going out a Friday night and not coming home till the Sunday is something that maybe comes with age, that you realise that's not for you anymore.
Everybody gets through it, don't they? I think everybody, and somewhere or another, listen, there might be a select few that don't dabble in that kind of life in terms of drinking and going heavy, but I think we all at one point go through that period of going heavy on the Friday night, you know, for example, waking up the next day, going in again the Saturday afternoon into the night, and then Sunday, or you just actually don't go home. You actually just,
it's actually making the hairs stand up, man.
Listen, we all go through it. I knew there was a few weekends even through my younger period where I done that, and you kind of start to realise that alcohol's not the be all and end all. It's actually sort of, you know, a coping mechanism for a lot of things, and sometimes it's an escape for people to get away from problems that they may have mentally, you know, or in their, you know, profession. What would you say? You obviously touched on recently starting that sobriety journey. What would you say was there a pivotal moment that led you to take that step, or would you say it's just been an overall?
Yeah, a couple of things. I think obviously my issue is when I go out, I don't go home. So that's my issue. Like, I'm not the guy that goes out and has a couple of beers with my dinner and goes home to his bed. Like, I'm the guy that goes out, and once I'm out, I'm out. And then that leads to like a week near enough of feeling absolutely rotten, which affects performance at work. You know, I'm right into my fitness, so like, you know, fitness wise it sets me back. I feel sluggish all week. So things like that, but like more so in the last maybe like couple of years, something that wasn't apparent in my early 20s was like behavioural changes on alcohol. So like pretty much blacking out and maybe saying something to somebody that I don't mean, or that's like not the nicest thing to say to somebody, but then the next day getting told off someone else what I've said, and it's like, I just can't be doing with that. Do you know what I mean? And that's a recent thing in the last couple of years. So the mixed feelings of the horrendous hangovers and feeling crap for a week on top of that other stuff has now led me to a decision of where I'm like, I need to assess my relationship with it. I'm not sitting here saying that I'm never ever going to pick up a drink again. Probably quite naive of me to say that, but I just think in terms of improving my relationship as a whole with it, and not being the guy that's out all weekend, and not being the guy that's a nasty bugger to people with not remembering that I've been a nasty bugger. I think that's now led me to a decision of like, let's try this. Let's try like a little spell, you know, with no intention of going out or drinking anytime soon, but a spell of like sobriety where I can then hopefully that then tunes my brain to be like, let's improve that relationship that I've got with it.
Yeah, you said obviously drinking, you know, physically affects your performance in work, affects your ability in the gym. How would you say it affects you mentally?
Oh, rotten. Like, so see things that you don't normally think about day to day. When you go on a weekend bender or whatever and you come into the office on a Monday, things that you don't normally think about creep into your head, or things that are kind of deep rooted in you that you don't worry about come to the surface a little bit more when you've got that, I think what anxiety people call it, I think is the word for it. So when you've got that, it's just, and again, that's another reason that I just want to do this spell, if you like, of just not going near it, because mental health these days is huge, isn't it? Like, so I think there's a lot to be said about the relationship people have got with a drink, and then their mental health leading up to the weeks that follow after a big night out or a weekend session.
Yeah, and you spoke about, you know, when you speak to somebody and you say something when you're drunk that you actually don't remember saying, and somebody tells you that next day, giving you the absolute
That's
fear.
Horrible, yeah.
Is that the moment you're talking about when you said, you know, that the relationship with alcohol wasn't healthy? Or can you describe another moment that you realised your relationship just wasn't? Wasn't good?
More so the two that I've touched on. Like, I think that I've been quite open in saying throughout my 20s that when I'm 30, I'm chucking it.
Yeah.
Like, I've said that pretty much probably since COVID. So I've said it probably the last 5 or 6 years where I've been like, there'll be a point when I'm in my 30s at some point that I'm just going to probably chuck it all together. Yeah. And I've always said that, and I'm 30 obviously next month, so I'm like, it's a good time. It falls in line with what I'm saying, what I've said over the last few years.
Yeah.
But I think the two things I spoke about I don't want to be that guy that's a different person, has a drink in him.
Yeah.
If I can change that by having a period of sobriety, great. If this period of sobriety that I'm doing means that I don't touch a drink again, you know, we'll see. But like, I'm not going to sit here and put that pressure on myself, because ultimately it's a massive commitment. You know, I'm going to be 30 next month. Hopefully I've still got another, 40, 50 years on the planet. Like, to say you're not going to have an alcoholic drink at things like weddings, and it is a massive commitment. So yeah, I mean, things like that, obviously changes in behaviour, and then just when you wake up from a night out, or you've got a couple of days after it out, you actually think back to yourself and you're like, was that actually worth it? Could I have went out and just maybe not had a drink and just socialised with my mates till midnight, 1 o'clock, and went up the road instead of going out, getting on it and being out all weekend and then feeling rotten for a week. So yeah, I'm in that sort of stage just now, early stages, but it's going okay so far.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear it, and you know, I think it's a big step for anyone to take, especially even admitting that, you know, that you've not been perfect with it, and it's actually, you know, probably a struggle for you to kind of stay consistent with it, but it's something you're actually willing to really stick at and make a kind of constant in your life at the moment. So in terms of your overall journey so far, what would you say the kind of hardest part's been, you know, or what surprised you about the early days?
I think you start things off with good intentions, and then obviously from podcasts I've watched on it, people that have done sobriety, the early stages are the most likely stages where you're going to have a little slip up. So obviously I've managed to do stag do, wedding sober, went to an Oasis gig sober, which if you'd seen some of the people in the next there, mate,
But
good going. And you know, events like that. But I had my best mate's wedding last month at the start of August, and I had a slip up where I did have a drink. And I think what happened is just all my close friends and family there having a good time. You're always going to have the odd mate pulling your arm. I don't know if I was strong enough in that on that day, albeit I turned up with the car planning on not drinking, but after 2-3 hours everybody started getting a bit louder, a bit more leery. I sort of caved into the sort of pressure of it, if that makes sense. But I think when that happens, like you can't beat yourself up about that. Like it's going to happen in the early stages of it. And again, as I said before, I'm not putting that pressure on myself. I'm never going to have a drink again. This whole sobriety period, if you like, is me trying to improve that relationship with alcohol. Because I would love it if one day I could be that guy that goes out on a night out and has 5, 6, 7 drinks and goes up the road, rather than be the guy that goes out and doesn't go home, mate. Yeah, so that's the aim of this whole thing, and I just think having this period to sort of reflect on past behaviours on alcohol and past experiences will hopefully allow me to reflect, and then who knows, maybe in a year, whatever, however long I abstain from it, allows me to then go back and assess it and have a better relationship with it. But yeah, it's tough, and it is tough at the start because you're going to have mates that don't understand why you're doing it, and you might not want to share why you're doing it with mates. You might just want to keep it to yourself, but they maybe don't understand because me, for example, they're used to me being Fraz, the party boy, goes out, and so they don't get, why is Fraz not drinking? Why is it, like, do you know what I mean? So that's always a tricky bit at the start. But for anybody that's going to try a period of sobriety, it's about just kind of riding the wave. Or if you want to have an honest conversation with mates, with your partner, whoever it is, and just be like, listen, it's not serving me at the moment. I'm having a break from it, and I'm sure if you've got mates that are that good of mates anyway, they'll understand it and they'll be supportive of it anyway.
Yeah, have you noticed being in social situations? You know, you mentioned being at the wedding, stag do, etc. And obviously you kind of had a drink there, but in terms of, have you noticed other people that have maybe right off it in terms of, like, you know, drinking too much? Are you noticing different things now from that place of having a kind of vision of, or being in that sobriety period? Are you noticing more?
Yeah, 100%. Do you mean just generally?
Yeah, just other people's behaviours when they're on drink.
Oh yeah, like people can just change drastically, and again, that's something, as I say, I noticed about myself, is that sometimes I'll hear stories of what I've said or done when I've been absolutely out of it, and it's like, it's just not representative of me as a person, and it's stuff that I'm a bit like embarrassed about, if anything. So you definitely, when you're sober, that Oasis gig, for example, you're kind of looking about and you're seeing some of the next people are in, and you're just like, wow, that's mental. And you know, albeit it can be funny at times and stuff like that. People do, like, don't get me wrong, when I've drank in the past, some of the funniest stories and funniest moments have been when I've had a drink and when mates have had a drink, and there's funny stories come from it. But I think you get to a point in your life where it's like late 20s, getting into my 30s, it's like, maybe I just curb this a little bit, you know what I mean? But no, definitely you notice when you're sober, everything's like your way of thinking throughout the week at work and stuff so much clearer. You don't stress. I don't stress a bit as much, and the gym and stuff's just like training and stuff so much better. So, but definitely you do notice people when they have a drink, they can change. But some people change for the better, and some people change for the worse. Yep. I'm in the worst category. Some people who are very shy and maybe need a drink to come out their shell. Fortunately for me, I don't need that.
No, you're a cat.
If you weren't sitting there, mate, be chatting to that wall. So.
The better chat than me, mate.
No, exactly.
In terms of social situations or triggers, you know, as I said, you'll be more aware of things now. How do you cope with them? Do you feel, in the first few days, did you feel like when you seen a drink, it was like, oh, I need to have that now? Obviously, that's not me saying like you're an absolute alcoholic, but do you feel like you're always tempted just to pick it up and go, or how do you cope with this stuff now?
I think the first, if you make a decision on something, I actually think the first couple of weeks are easy, because most of the time it comes off the back of fear. So like something that you've done and you're like, God, I don't want to go back to that.
Yep.
So it's easier at the start. As time goes on and you start to see yourself improve, like that wedding, for example, I hadn't drank for, 6-7 weeks or something like that. Maybe longer, but like I hadn't drank for that period of time, and I think maybe subconsciously I thought, I'm in control of this, so I'll just have a few. But me, with my personality and the way I am, that sort of addictive personality, like one's not enough, two's not enough, you've got to just keep going. But no, definitely I think like it's just about willpower at the end of the day. Like you're always going to have temptations, you're always going to have it there, you're always going to have a mate pulling your arm. Like it's just something that you need to be strong enough. And yet what helps me is I think back to the stuff I've maybe done when I've had a drink. If I'm tempted and I go, oh, hang on a minute, nah, like away you go. Do you know what I mean?
It's not for you.
I don't know, obviously I done a wedding sober a couple of months ago, and it was out at Loch Lomond, and basically like done the full day, so the ceremony was at 2, and then afterwards the dinner, and then the drinking was going on through the night. But see, whenever I felt tempted that day, I literally just took myself out of the equation and went to walk. So wee things like that kind of help. Like if I was like, oh, people are getting a bit louder, people are starting to like, you're starting to get annoyed with people that are drunk round about you, I could just have a drink. But then actually something clicks in your head, and all I done was just took myself out a walk and just went out in the fresh air. By the time I came back, my mind was kind of resetting it again. But as I say, the early stages of it, I've had my struggles with it, but like I think I've done all right over the piece so far. But it's just about trying to, if you have a slip up, just get back on it again. And
I think that's the main thing, and I think that goes in for a lot of things, such as, you know, a diet. You know, for example, stop smoking. It's a case of, you know, when you've been so good for, you know, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 days, 4 days, if you then just have a drink, have a smoke, have a bad meal or takeaway, whatever, don't then just let all the 3 or 4 days, the 3 or 4 weeks that you've done crumble just because of that one moment. And it is so easy just to go, oh well, that's me, it only lasted 3-4 days. It's like, no, just go back to doing what you were doing before and setting those new habits and setting those standards. It seems like you're really, you know, trying to implement them in your life currently, and it's really respectable.
I think one of the struggles as well, just to go back to it, is like people always want to know why you're not drinking. So see if you're out and you've not got a drink in your hand, or if you've got a 0% or whatever, the first question people always ask you, and you don't blame people for asking, why are you not drinking? But sometimes you don't want to share that, because you don't want to turn around and be like, well, this is why, I'm just not drinking because I just can't be bothered. Do you know what I mean? But that's something that you don't think will be difficult, but when somebody's like that, why are you not drinking? All of a sudden you then feel you have to justify it. Do you know what I mean? Why can't you just be there and be present with people? Do you
it's almost like your company's.
I get why people ask it. I've done it before. Like
they're not doing it in a bad way, are they? It's almost just, why are you not drinking for?
I've done it in the past, to be honest. Like when somebody's not been drinking, like, why are you not drinking? God, stupid, why are you not drinking? Come on, have a drink. No, like that's the bit you struggle with at the start, because especially if it's somebody you're not exactly close to, you're not going to then delve into all the reasons why. Do you know what I mean?
Come and sit down and I'll tell you the whole story. You just want to be like, I'm just.
Easiest thing to say, work in the morning.
Is that nice answer?
Literally. That's the easiest thing to say.
For anyone who's listening, who can, you know, really, you know, feel connected with what you're doing, or is in a similar position, what's one thing that helped you start making the change? Training.
Yeah. So like, obviously exercise, training, it's just such a good distraction away from wanting to, if you arrange to meet with a mate on a Sunday morning for a gym session or whatever, obviously it's easy enough to patch it at the last minute if you want, but like having plans in place for your weekends or whatever to make it easier for you to not then be tempted if you're wanting to do a small period of sobriety for however long. If you want to do 6 months of it, fine. If you want to do 4 weeks, fine, but having plans in place. Taking up a new hobby, obviously I've started playing golf again, not very well.
I can't play at all.
But I've started playing golf again, so like that, having like 4 hours out on a golf course kills a lot of your time. So even like the lighter nights, obviously I'm going away now, but obviously in the summer being able to go out on a Saturday night and play golf from 5 o'clock to 9 o'clock takes up a lot of your time. So new hobbies, that's the biggest one, taking up something that's new to you. That could be the gym, that could be a sport, that could be, I don't know, going to a book club, whatever, do you know what I mean? Something like that, just to like, so you've got things filled with your diary, rather than thinking, I've got nothing to do this weekend, I'm going to go to the pub.
Yeah. And in terms of sobriety, have you spoke to anyone else who's been or done sobriety, or did you just really how did the first come? And obviously know what you're saying in terms of when you drink, you become a different person, somebody that you actually don't like, and somebody you actually don't even recognise and remember. Was that the reason, or did you maybe speak to somebody who'd done it?
Mixed. So in the past, like a few years ago, I think I'd done 4 or 5 months. During lockdown, actually, I didn't drink at all. So even the pubs were closed. I'm not the type of person that sits in the house and has a beer. So like, I didn't drink for about 9 months during lockdown, and I noticed the effects it had on me, and I felt good after it. So I was 25 then. So that's when I started to say, do you know what? When I get to like 30, I'm just going to chuck it. I know a few people that have done periods of sobriety, a year, 2 years and stuff, and they just say that how much their life is like got better in terms of like promotions at work, or you know, fitness results or whatever. So I've spoke to a couple of people that have done it, but this journey, this sort of start of this new journey I'm on now, is more self needed to do. I feel like with the way drinks went for me, maybe since the last year or two, it's kind of like my hands are tied. Like I just kind of need to do it, because like I just can't keep going out at the weekends and being a bit of an idiot, to be honest, mate. So this time it's more self. Like I want to do it for a period for myself. Whereas in the past it's been like, oh, I like the idea of that. Like I'll ask somebody for advice. But I think when something happens, or a few occasions happen where you know it kind of, you then sit up, and maybe it's, as I said earlier, maybe it's an age thing. Maybe it's, I can see things a bit clearer now than I did when I was 23, 24. That I'm like, I can't go into my 30s being like that. Do you know what I mean? So this time it's definitely more self-driven than anything else.
No, listen, I appreciate you being so open and honest about your journey so far with it. Obviously you touched on the fitness element there, you know, yourself being a personal trainer, you know, something that's a wee like hidden talent people don't know about you. How did that first come into your life then, and did your experiences in sales and dealing with, you know, alcohol struggles influence why you get into it, or?
The alcohol thing, no, because when I started PT just before lockdown,
It was never a thought.
Yeah, I didn't think I had an issue with it. I just thought I was a bit of a party boy at the weekend, and that was it. So that never really came into it. But the PT side of stuff, like I'd done fitness, health and exercise at college, so it was obviously fitness has been a massive part of my life from the age of like 14, 15. When you stop playing sports like football and you know, tennis, like I'd done for a bit when I was younger as well, naturally when you stop doing the sports, you take up something new, and it was the gym for me. I was the wee guy in school that was like the wee fat specky kid, mate. So it was like, it was kind of, when I started the gym, I just found a new sense of confidence. And from that, I was like, right, I could see myself doing a career in this, or being involved in fitness in some aspect. And basically, when I got my PT qualification, I was at David Lloyd in sales at the time, and I had a decision to make. I was like, started PT in lockdown when they eased the restrictions. So see, when they eased the measures and you could PT outside and stuff, I just started a client base, and obviously we were all on furlough from David Lloyd. So I had a wee side earner there that was good, but by the time I started back David Lloyd after the lockdown, I'd already had like 10, 12 clients or something, and I was like, oh, how am I going to balance 12 clients a week and, you know, sales,
I think I should remember speaking to you at that time about that, and obviously
I was pure torn about it.
I remember.
So I was really torn about it and what to do, because as much as I loved sales, PT, I felt like I would have been doing myself an injustice if I didn't go and try it. So obviously left David Lloyd and became a personal trainer, self-employed for a couple of years, and I absolutely loved it, mate.
Different world.
I still love the idea of it. Done a bit when I came back to David Lloyd. That's another story from our time in terms of trying to get a mortgage and all the rest of it, mate, when you're self-employed. So I came back to David Lloyd and I kept a few online clients going on the side, but eventually the same thing happened where I had to pick one or the other with how intense the sales industry is. So I always flirt with the idea of going back to online coaching, because I don't think there's anything more rewarding than somebody coming to you that's like on the floor confidence-wise, and then after the space of 3-4 weeks their confidence goes up, and then after 8 weeks they see a result, and then after 12 weeks they feel like their life's kind of transformed a little bit. So that's something that's always in the back of my mind, of like going back to as a side sort of thing. I don't think I would go back to it fully self-employed again, but like it's always there if I want to.
Yeah, and obviously you'd spoke about clients being on the floor, you building their confidence, helping them build that confidence, that drive, finding that drive that they do have within them. Obviously they need to remain disciplined.
Yeah.
And discipline is both huge in both terms of training and sobriety. Have you noticed any similarities between pushing yourself in the gym and then obviously just starting that sobriety journey?
Yeah, I think so. I think like obviously when you're not going out at the weekend and having booze, naturally you're just going to feel better and train better and recover better. So definitely having a set goal as well with the gym, whether that be somebody that's starting out on like a fat loss journey, if they manage to not drink alcohol, say as part of a 12-week fat loss program, they're going to see results quicker and they're going to see better results. So the alcohol and training I say they go hand in hand, but they don't, because anytime you go out on a night out, you can still fit it into a plan, but anytime you go out on a night out, it is going to set you back a couple of days or whatever. So definitely I've noticed, like, since I've kind of stopped or taken the break from it, it's like definitely, like, probably at this present moment in time, I'm probably in the best shape I've been in, to be honest, in my life. So definitely they kind of go hand in hand there with that. Yeah,
and something you've touched on through today is, patience, people skills, communication. Do you find that the skills that you've learned through your sales kind of career has helped you connect better as a trainer? Yeah,
they're all transferable. So like again, when you're a personal trainer, you get inquiries from people through social media or whatever, and they're all different backgrounds, they're all different fitness levels, and they're all different, have different ways of life, whether they've got kids, whether they don't, and that's the same for everybody that walks in the door that comes to join a David Lloyd club.
Yep.
So they're very, very transferable skills, and at the end of the day, like, if you're running your own business as a personal trainer, you have to have some sales acumen about you. You have to, like, at the end of the day, you're on social media promoting yourself, you might do an offer of some sort for people in the door, so you need to have some sort of, like, selling knowledge. You don't have to be necessarily sales experience, but, like, have some sort of savviness about you to run your own business. So definitely there's a lot of skills there that are so transferable between being a personal trainer and being involved in sales.
Yeah, something I've not thought of too much actually before you'd obviously come in today, but talking about that sales world, that personal trainer world, the skills actually are very transferable, because you need to sell yourself as a personal trainer, and you need to almost be in really good shape to be in sales, you get me? Like, that's not me saying that somebody that's slightly overweight can't sell, but if you're in really good condition and somebody comes in and sees you, especially trying to sell a gym membership, they're going to be like, oh, I want to be like that guy, I want to be in good shape, and then it's probably going to help you sell that membership. And in terms of obviously managing the stress side of things, keeping a routine and maintaining focus, both with sobriety, training, has that helped you?
A routine?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I'm the type of person anyway, I can be a bit scatty and a bit all over the place. You'll know that, mate. Scooting about here all the time.
You're 100 miles an hour.
Mate, honestly, the afterburners on me. The Heelys used to get, I might as well have a pair of them, like, going around the place.
David Lloyd branded ones up and down.
Honestly, they'd be magic. But no, I think, like, if I don't have a routine, I can easily just go a bit wild, like scatty. So routine helps me massively. Like, as I said earlier, like, having something planned for the weekend. See if I didn't fill my diary with stuff, like, obviously trying to do this sobriety journey or whatever you want to call it, like, if I didn't have a weekend where I was off full of stuff, and if I was just sitting and I didn't plan to do something, whether it be on my own or with people, I would probably be inclined to last minute just cave and be like, I'm going to the pub. Do you know what I mean? So, like, having a routine definitely helps with anything, whether it's work related, whether it's gym, whether it's trying to stay off alcohol. All these things are all, if you've got a set routine in place, it'll help. Yeah, and it's probably, as you've touched on there, with routine, and that'll probably really blend well into the next question, but for anyone kind of listening that's juggling personal challenges, work, health, how do you balance all, and what role does training play in that and staying off alcohol? I think first and foremost, see training for me, I've let it slip a few times over the years, but see, in the main, since I've been about 18, it's just a non-negotiable for me, like, to train. So, like, for me, and listen, some people prefer to go out a walk, some people prefer to go out a run, but see any form of like exercise and the endorphins it releases, it's the best free mental support that you can get, in my opinion. People might disagree, people might rather go to the pub and have 10 pints and that unwinds them, but for me it's like having training is the best form of sort of free therapy, if you like. So I make training a non-negotiable first and foremost, but being able to balance everything, I think like for me speaking, we work in a fitness facility, right? Yep. So it's not exactly hard for us to get access to a gym. Do you know what I mean? Like, yep. So it's easy for me to say, have that discipline, set your alarm for 7 in the morning, 6 in the morning, go and do a workout, then go to your work. I don't have to jump in my car after the gym and drive to work. Do you know what I mean? I can get a shower here and be at my desk in 10 minutes, 15 minutes after the gym.
It's obviously a luxury for yourself, which is not...
So it's difficult me relating to somebody else that's in that position. I know fine well that when I done the corporate hospitality sales for 6 months last year, leaving the office at 5:30 after being in from 8:30 in the morning, see driving back from the city centre to go to the gym, it was a hell of a lot, I still done it, but it was a hell of a lot more challenging than what it is me finishing at 5 o'clock in here and having a gym 50 metres from me. Do you know what I mean? So definitely, I think like if somebody wants to do something enough in terms of whether it's training or progression with work or whatever, self-talk is the most valuable thing. Like if you want to do something enough, you'll do it. Yeah,
and I sometimes I was going to say was, I think you're so correct there. If somebody wants something enough, they will. It doesn't matter what's in their way. They'll go and get it. And listen, sometimes some people can be at a period where they might want something, but they have got a lot going on, and they maybe just don't see the ability or don't have the ability to get there, and that's fine. There will come a time though when you need to kind of go, am I going to do this? Am I not going to do this? Mm-hmm. And sometimes you just need to do it. And as you said, going with training and stuff, you know, like
you might need to go into ghost mode for a bit. Like you might actually have to go into ghost mode. So see, like if you need to cut, I'm not saying cut them out of your life, but see if you need to cut off plans with pals, or you need to, if it's something that's going to benefit you, self-development wise or whatever, you might have to just cut a couple of people off for a wee bit and just be like, listen, I'm taking myself off the grid for a bit. Like I'm focusing on myself. You know, whether that's like you starting a training program or whatever, like I keep referring back to that because it's easy for me to relate to, but like you might have to say to your mates, listen, I'm off the grid, I'm not going out for a couple of months. Like I'm not necessarily, I say ghost mode, that's maybe a bit strong, but like just like not be as readily available to other people. Something I've done in the past is I've just tried to help anyone and you learn like very quickly that you can't, if you're filling everyone else's cups up, you're not filling your own one. So like you might have to just say to people, listen, I'm still here, but you know, move them to the side a little bit and go and focus on yourself for a bit. Yeah, I think that's where communication comes in, doesn't it? You know, I think cutting certain things off for a while is fine, as long as you then communicate that and just say, listen, I'm not in a good place, I need to get my head right, I need to go and focus on me for a little bit, so I'm going to be dropping certain things, so if you don't hear from me, don't worry. But if you feel like you want to check in with me, that's fine. You know, I feel like I've had to do that myself a few times, and it's just to rebalance everything. Sometimes it needs to be done. Because at the end of the day, like you don't want to lose mates or relationships or whatever. Do you know what I mean? But at the end of like the most important relationship that you'll have, and bookmark this by the way, the most important relationship you'll ever have is the one with yourself. Because if you don't respect yourself or you don't like yourself very much, then other people aren't going to like you. So if that means cutting people off for a little bit, but letting them know you're still there, then it's only going to benefit you. Yeah, and obviously, with sobriety, what would you say has changed the most about how you see yourself in your life? I think in terms of like just seeing myself, I think like, I know what value I've got and I know what value I've got to give people, but I know that in the past, when, not all the time, but when I've had a drink in the past, I've not actually been the best version of myself. So at this moment in time, that's probably my sole aim, is to just try and be the best version of myself, be more present with people. Obviously, since I've started this, I'm making more time for family and stuff like that maybe wouldn't have done in the past. So like, yeah, definitely, I think like learning that what comes out sometimes when I drink or whatever is not actually me, if that makes sense. So that's probably the biggest take I would have, is just being more present and being more like, just being more myself, if I'm honest. No, 100% does. And then in terms of you, future of Mr. Frazer Orr, that's it. Where do you hope to be in the next year or two? Let's go with both from a personal standpoint and a professional standpoint. Personally, I just want to feel probably the most comfortable with myself that I've probably ever felt. Going into like, it's going to sound really cheesy, but see coming up for 30, I kind of look back at my 20s and I'm like, there's a lot of my 20s that I'm like, were amazing and good fun in that. But I think now that I've got to that stage where I'm like turning 30, I'm like, right, it's time for like the next stage, which is obviously like, in terms of progression, hopefully being some sort of, you know, manager role or something of that nature professionally.
Having your own team.
Potentially start like online coaching or whatever on that side again, which to be honest, I'm still humming and hawing over. You can use this as a plug, mate, if anyone's interested. So no, probably that professionally, but I think just in terms of personally, just feel the most comfortable I've felt. Like, obviously I want my confidence to be right back up and stuff, and not that it isn't, like I'm a fairly confident person, but that confidence goes out the window when I have like, you know, things like anxiety and stuff leading from alcohol and stuff. So I'm not saying that I'll sit here in a year's time and be like, I've not had a drink in the last year. Because I might in 4 or 5 months' time, might get to Christmas time and my mate's like out for a pint. Whether or not I think in my head my relationship with Bevy is better at that point, I don't know. But yeah, I think just feel a bit more comfortable, be more present with people, and then ultimately professionally just progress in terms of, like, as I say, management roles, or start my own wee online business again.
Yeah, well listen, thank you so much for coming in and being so open and honest about sobriety and obviously where you're at currently, but good luck with it and good luck in the future, mate. Hopefully I'll have you back soon.
No worries, mate.
Yeah, right, thank you.
Cheers.